Everyone, good morning, and welcome to my first live stream from my second channel, School of Block. So if you don't know me, my name is Gwendolyn Faraday, and I have another channel called Faraday Academy, where I post regular programming content, tutorials, different breakdowns or advice pieces, things like that. I currently work as a senior software developer, and so I try to just kind of do tutorials and videos around topics that I see every day in the industry or things that I'm interested in. And today, for my first interview on this channel, I have Daniel Lomelino. So if you follow me on Faraday Academy, you know that I have had him on a few times to work on Python challenges and also recently for a blockchain interview. And a lot of people reached out to me after the interview or in some way commented or got in touch and said that they really enjoyed it and would like to see more blockchain content. So yeah, I'm very happy to be starting to do some blockchain content on this channel. So Daniel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello. Happy to be here. I've been a software engineer for quite some time now, and for the last few years, I've taken a very big interest in blockchain technologies, and that's kind of the trajectory I'm on. And so I thought I'd share one of my projects today.
Awesome. So before we kind of had an interview and talked about the industry at large, but today, like Daniel mentioned, we're going to be looking at a specific project that he actually built in JavaScript to kind of help or interact with cryptos and the crypto space. I don't want to get too much into it because you're going to demo and explain it much better than I can. So yeah, I guess if anyone has any questions or comments or just anything you want to say, post it in the chat and we'll respond as we go along. So go ahead and start the demo, Daniel.
All right. Well, just to set expectations up front, this isn't some kind of discussion of blockchain technologies and all that. This is an app I created to help manage and navigate the cryptocurrency space. So I'll describe why I created it, and let me share first the screen that I have here, so you can see and start to get a picture in your head of what I'm actually talking about.
And you all might learn a bunch of new terminology as well as we go along.
Yeah, we're going to latch on to the crypto culture lingo that I built into some of this interface. So let's see. I should see my screen now with my app called CryptoDip. So maybe that already gives you some idea of what's going to be going on here. But
wait, you should see the screen now. Yeah.
There we go. So this is CryptoDip. There's a slogan there: see the dip, buy the dip. And the story behind this is really that I was managing all of my cryptocurrency investments in spreadsheets and things like that. And I basically, what it comes down to, it's pretty simple, is I wanted to make an app to handle a lot of the things that spreadsheets don't make very easy. So things like interacting with an API to get price data, and also having more control over the organization of what I'll show you here. But that's pretty much it. And then when I started to really use this a lot day to day, I figured this is something that other people might be able to make use of. So I wanted to share these capabilities and conveniences that I've built into here with everyone else. So this is an open source and completely free to use application. I'm not asking for a subscription membership type of, there's no business model here. It's just open source software. So that's, before we get into this, that's point number one. Point number two, which really is point number one, is this is not financial advice.
Yes.
So let's get that out of the way right now. And One thing to note along the way, if you see any things that I'm talking about that seem kind of like, well, that's interesting that you chose to do it that way. That's kind of not how I would traditionally see this done. Is I approach this project with privacy as the primary focus. So you'll see things are stored in the browser, for example, instead of in a database on a back end. So the second priority and the subsequent priorities were really things like convenience, and then robustness was really kind of taking a back seat. There's no like automatic price refreshing. There's no exchange or wallet integrations or even charts or anything like that. So while it might seem like the conversation is headed in a sort of speculative direction for like, oh, let's watch the price go up and not care about how these projects really exist. But I don't at all use it that way. And honestly, it's not the best tool for that because there aren't these analytic tools like charts and things like that. So again, just setting expectations here. And the other thing related to the privacy that I kind of hinted at is that your personal data never leaves the browser. So your investment or price information or financial information that you put into here never actually gets sent over the network. The only things that do are price data coming from real world price data coming from the API, the third-party API that I've chosen. And as you'll see, optionally, an API key itself. So we'll get into that as well. And that's pretty much it before we start taking a look at a little more detail here. So I think the next step really would be to just hop over to GitHub down here. There's a link. And we can just see, let's see, there's the breakpoint. There's a description. So really, single sentence summary. CryptoDip is an app for identifying opportunities to lower the average cost of your cryptocurrency holdings. There's the first instance of crypto culture lingo, also known as the dips. So it's all about the dips, which is not entirely true. I'll explain some use cases and some scenarios that I've found myself using it for. And so I'll share some of that with everyone. But I feel like I should emphasize this again. This is made to be very simple. There's no need to connect any exchange accounts or wallets, and your personal data is never sent over the network. You just enter in some information about things like how much you spent on a certain coin and how much of it you're holding. And the rest is really just a lot of calculated fields that are done on the front end. It's, again, a glorified spreadsheet replacement that's just a little more capable.
A little more fun and blockchain focused.
Yeah. And so to access this, you can go to CryptoDip.app to do this the traditional way. But as I was making this project, I thought to myself, well, this is, me being so, passionate about blockchain. I should implement some element of blockchain technology. And so the way I chose to do that was just by using a blockchain domain as an optional way to access the application. And so I did this on through a site called Unstoppable Domains. They allow you to register top level, or not top level, but like domains with different top level choices for the crypto space. So just hopping over here, you can get things like .zil, which is a blockchain called Zilliqa, .crypto, .coin, .wallet, all these kind of fun new Web3 related top level domains that you can have your applications hosted under.
But you
And there's
need some kind of a special plugin, right?
Yeah. So it depends on which browser you're using. Some browsers have adopted these blockchain domains, or at least some subset of them, like .crypto or things like that. Others, like Brave, which is what I normally use, they'll have an extension that you can install that allows you to access these, because the way these work is that the domain itself lives on the blockchain, and when you access it, it references IPFS, which is a blockchain storage mechanism. And then, so the minimal way I did this was I put an index.html file that redirects to the traditional domain. But at least in some small way, I'm able to support the technologies that are contributing to the decentralized internet. So it's not much, but there you go. So the other option is self-hosted. You can always clone this repo and follow the instructions further down in the README to run your own instance of CryptoDip locally, if you'd like to. And there's really one major difference that I'll mention as we go through the tour of the app. And so the first thing you'll have to do is get a CoinMarketCap API key, because that's where CryptoDip retrieves all of the price information from.
So how difficult is it to get that API key?
Well, if you use the link from the README, you basically get your API key now, and you will sign up for an account, and there it is. And then you'll have an interface where you can click a button to copy it and then paste it into the app.
And it's basically free because you're not going to be making that many requests, more than the threshold.
Yeah, so there are some API usage limits that I'll point out as we go along, and that really determined why I chose to not just have an API key for a global use for anyone using the app. Kind of why you have to get your own, because it would just run out of, you would hit the quota way too soon.
That would be unsustainable.
Yeah. So you go there, you sign up, and you get your free API key, and that will again be sent over the network, because you can't, with CoinMarketCap, you cannot make API keys from a front end. That's built into their API documentation. They don't allow front-end API interaction. So I tried. I wanted to not have a back-end at all to this thing, but I ended up with a project that's a combined front-end and back-end. But it's being sent over SSL, and it's a free key that you can regenerate if it does get intercepted or whatever.
Compromised. Okay.
Compromised, yeah. And then we'll start adding coins and entering some numbers, and we'll see what it all looks like. And this is really just if you choose the self-hosted option, then here you go. There is an option there's a button in the interface as well of the app to donate. You can donate with various cryptocurrencies that go directly to me, but I'm not at all pushing that. Do what you will with it. And yeah, let's get into
I'm excited to see the app now.
the overview here.
There's a lot of buildup.
Yeah, there's some explanation around what to expect.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are when you first arrive. Add coins to get started is kind of the first step, but only once you've understood that you have to go get an API key. So off screen here, I'm going to copy my API key and I'll paste it in here, but don't you worry, it's a password input, so it's obscured with the option to reveal it, which I will not do here. And once you do that, you can go over here and click Add Coins to get started. And then what's happened in the background is all the coins that exist in the CoinMarketCap API have been pulled in here. And so you can start choosing things like apparently Einsteinium and whatever. You can just start clicking and you can type here too. So if I wanted to go find Bitcoin, right, I could type that, or I could search for any of the symbols as well, LTC or anything. And so you start adding the coins that you're interested in for one reason or another. And once you choose them, they appear in this table. Now, before we start messing around with this, let me just go through the interface and explain, because I also want to, I don't have a video walkthrough of any of this, so I'm going to kind of use this as an opportunity to really create one of those, I guess. But we've got the API key for CoinMarketCap, and we've got the usage information for that key. Now, if you chose the self-hosted option for CryptoDip and you're running it locally, and you've put your API key in the backend code, then this bar will not appear at all because it's unnecessary.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, if I refresh, it shows me my usage for the 1 minute, 1 day, and 1 month. And this checkbox really just decides anytime I interact in here with something that uses the API, it will automatically update these or not based on whether this is checked. So then there's an FAQ here that explains the things you're seeing. So, or the ideas behind the app and some questions you might have. So what is CryptoDip? What are some of these terms I'm seeing? How are some things calculated in the interface? So things like this, and some that are just there for entertainment purposes. And then there's a legend that explains some of the interface. So what these buttons do and the icons that you'll see.
Hmm.
So maybe we'll jump back and forth to the legend as I'm explaining some of these. But another one for the kind of privacy aspect is this forget me button. So everything here, for those that know about kind of front end development, everything here is stored in local storage in the browser. And so no need for persistent storage on the back end and transferring data over the network. That's how I accomplished the privacy side of this. So forget me just clears out everything in local storage, and it's like you were never here.
But then you lose all your coin data, right? Unless
Yeah, so you lose everything. So if I click this right now, everything's wiped out, even the API key. So I'll have to go paste that back in. Also, this turns either red or green depending on, so if I add an extra character to my API key, it's red, letting me know that it's not valid. And if I make it the correct one, it's green now.
Cool.
And so let me just add some coins back here. Moving along here, we have coin list, which we'll get into when I show some use cases for this app. But basically, you can manage different views, different lists of coins separately. There are two options here for CSV files for exporting and importing. So you can kind of keep your information intact even when you've cleared the browser out, or maybe if you switch browsers or something, you can import it into another browser. The filter just filters what's here based on what you type. So if you have 50 coins listed, you can find them easily. YOLO is an input where you'd put a price, and it's basically saying, for instance, if I put 100 here, I'm basically saying I have $100 that I'm looking to spend right now. How would that affect the rest of the coins that are listed here.
Yeah.
How would that affect my holdings? So it won't do anything until we actually put some information in. But I also have these tooltip hovers to kind of remind you of what some of these are. Now, refresh current price does just that. This reaches out to the CoinMarketCap API and pulls in the price information for the coins that are listed here. So if I click this right now, it shows current price now. And when you hover on them, it will tell you the current price in its full precision, because I do truncate it to a reasonable decimal point in the interface. And it also tells you the last time you clicked that button what the price was, so you can get a sense of how much it's changed since you last refreshed.
But do you know, does it show when you last refreshed?
No, that's on my list to add. I just haven't bothered.
Some kind of history?
Yeah, that's also kind of on my to-do list, a more robust transaction history if you want that option. But yeah, so if I add another coin right now, I don't know.
Anything.
There we go. Landed right on it. It won't have its current price yet. So you still have to click this button every time you want price information pulled in. And that's on purpose. I don't want a timed, price pulling from the API. Partially because of the API limits, but really mostly because I don't want this data changing without me saying, hey, update the prices. Because I could be sitting here trying to make a decision or analyzing something, and then it changes, and I'm like, wait, I didn't want that.
So you could have an option if people wanted to auto update or not.
Yeah, and I think I may have even built that at one point and then took it out.
Oh.
Like a checkbox to auto refresh prices, but because I never used it. But who knows? Maybe I'll add it back if there's enough reason to.
We have a GitHub, so anyone can make a feature request.
Yeah. It tells you how many coins it's showing versus how many you have listed. So that's because if I filter, it doesn't actually update on the filter. And I think that was actually a conscious decision of mine. Maybe it was just going to be more trouble than it was worth. But mostly it's when you choose only show me prices that have dipped. So now it says 0 out of 4. And we'll get to use this a little more effectively when I enter price information. This little blue area is your summary of adding all this information below together. And then we get into this data table itself. So on the left, we have the coins themselves with the icon, the name, and the symbol. If you click one of these, it opens up CoinMarketCap for that coin. Generally, some of them with more interesting names that have spaces or where the name isn't the link in CoinMarketCap, it's not as smart. So I basically replace spaces and names with a dash because that's what CoinMarketCap tends to do in its URLs up here. But it's not always accurate. Then we have cost average. This is the average price that you've paid per coin. So, for example, if 1 week I spent $100 on Bitcoin, and then the next week I spent $200, then it's going to average those two to say, well, really, per coin you've spent this much.
So how do you enter that information? Like you're supposed to enter information about how many you're buying as you're buying them, right? So the app works properly.
Yeah, the idea, and one of the kind of barriers to using this is that you really have to know how much you've spent on any given coin over however long you care about historically. So
if you're using an exchange, it should have that information. Like all the exchanges that I have, they all have the history of like every single transaction.
Yeah, It's just sometimes if you've been really into this stuff, you might
Oh
have.
yeah, you convert coin to coin, and then
Well,
you
that,
get lost in it.
yeah, that's the most kind of difficult thing to recover from for this. But also, you might just have like 4 different exchanges you use, and these, other decentralized exchanges and all kinds of stuff where it's hard. It's just really inconvenient to put all that together. But if you can, then this will work really well for you. So everything you see in the main row here is all computed values that you don't type. Current price is the current price of the coin. Since you click this refresh button, current value is the value of how much you have of a coin based on the current price. So if I had 1 whole Bitcoin, then current value would be this same amount. And buy the dip. This is the big siren of the app. It's the kind of the whole reason behind this app. And this basically says, based on how much I've spent on average on this coin and its current price, how much, if any, is it dipped below what I've paid? So is this a chance for me to buy the dip to lower my cost average and kind of average down? So the current price relative to your cost average. This just clears the list if you just want a quick way to not have to delete one by one. And then we get to actually inputting information. So these are all inputs here. Location is just a text field that's obscured in case you want to remember where you have this coin held. So for instance, Coinbase, if I want to put that, and I did make these hidden fields, these obscured password fields, because you may not want to show people where your coins are if you're showing someone this information. So there's that, and then hodls. This is the amount of the coin that you have. So let's say
number of coins, right?
Yeah. So if I had half a Bitcoin, right, then that's great by itself, but I want to know how much I YOLO'd to get that. So this is the amount you've spent on this coin in total. So let's say I spent a lot. Let's say I spent like $80,000 to get half a Bitcoin. When I input that and click off of the input or hit enter, it fills in. It can now compute all of these things. And so it tells me, on average, I've paid $160,000 per Bitcoin, which is just not right. I mean, it's accurate based on the numbers, but, ethically, there's something wrong about that. And current price, the current value of my half Bitcoin based on this current price, which is just, these two things computed against themselves. And buy the dip. So this is saying to me that this coin is currently 63.81% below my cost average. Mm-hmm. And the down arrow here is green because in this case, the dip is a good thing. So dips are good here in the world of CryptoDip.
So basically the point is you can see the dips that are below your cost average, so you know when to buy something below your cost average to bring down your cost average per coin. Exactly. Okay, that's pretty simple concept.
Yeah, and you'll see some icons over here. So this is the Big Dipper, and this is saying, if we go to the legend, this icon appears next to the coin whose current price is the lowest relative to its cost average. So this is the one that has dipped the most of all the coins I have listed. You'll see the To the Moon badge, which is the opposite. It's the one whose price has gone the highest based on all my coins listed. That's the highest above my cost average. And best bang for the buck is when I have an amount in this YOLO box of, say, I have $300 to spend and I click that, then you can see here, best bang for the buck. This is telling me that of all the coins here, if I were to spend $300, that $300 would have the biggest impact on my cost average for this coin. So telling me here that this would be my new cost average, and this is how much it would have changed by negative. It would have gone down by 0.65%.
That's cool.
It also shows me here how much my new holdings will be and the amount, the difference between my current and new holdings, and also how much that will affect how much I've spent in total.
So, okay, so you enter the half a Bitcoin and the price. What if you like go buy more Bitcoin? Do you enter like a second line, or is it just all on that same?
Now,
You have to update that same field under HODL.
yeah. So if I went and I bought another half Bitcoin, now I have 1 Bitcoin, and then let's say I spent, this time I got in at when it was like, I don't know, 48,000. Whoops. I want to add that on here, right?
Okay.
So if I want to add 48,000 here, that's what, 128,000?
Yeah.
Now I spent 128,000 on Bitcoin, but I have a whole Bitcoin. And when I click off of here or hit enter, these will all update anything that's based on that. And now my cost average is 128. The dip now is lower because I've lowered my cost average closer to that price. And so it's 54% currently below my cost average. So that's how I do it. I'll talk about some future plans I have for this related to maybe keeping track of individual purchases over time. But this has suited my needs. And since I am the single user of this app until potentially after today, it's all been based on what I need it to do. But that's certainly any requests or suggestions for how others might benefit from this, either send that my way or code it yourself and submit a pull request. I'm happy to review those and see.
Awesome. Yeah, it's all written in Vue.js, which is great.
Yeah. So the other things, let me just fill in some information for these so it shows a little more interesting stuff. Let's say I have, I don't know, 2 Litecoin and I got them for 400. This one you can see it's currently almost 9% higher than what I paid on average for it. So that's not a dip, right?
So that's good for your holdings, but it's not good to buy. That's why it's red, right?
Yeah, because this is all about the dips are good. Like normally you don't want to see this in your portfolio.
Yeah. That means you've lost money, but when you see it here, it means you can buy more to, lower your cost average.
Exactly. It ties into
it won't dip forever.
The theme and purpose of this app being I want to see these so I can take advantage of them, these dips.
Yeah.
So let's go and put in something here. That's $1.93 each. Let's say I have 5 of them and I spent $20.
It's a really good looking app though.
Well, thank you. I'm not a designer. I'm not any of that. So I did my best.
Oh, you have to put the location of your hodls.
I don't have to.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything. It's just there as a reminder in case I want to remember where I have, in this case, my name coin. And then let's say we have like, I don't know, 10,000 Doge and got them for, I don't even know what a good price would be for that. It doesn't matter. Let's say we spent 2,500.
So why does it have a question mark in Doge? Oh, because you hadn't pulled yet.
Yeah, I added that coin after I pulled price information. So it'd be like if I came in here and went and got something like Aave. Now, I have to repoll prices to get that. The other thing, this little action menu over here has two things: dip alert and delete. So delete is pretty straightforward. I can remove Aave from this list by deleting it. Dip alert is this pop-up that shows you, it reminds you of the relevant information here for saying when you want to be alerted about a price. Now, this is not external, like asynchronous type of alerts like an email or a text or anything, or even anything automatic. This is going to be every time you pull prices by clicking refresh current price, it's going to give you a UI indication on the front end. So let's see, 0.2317 is the current price. Let's say I want to know when Doge dips below 22 cents. And I can save that. And it's going to show this little indicator here that I can close, I can remove with the X. But it's a reminder that I have an alert set for this. Now,
so it doesn't have browser notifications either. I guess, yeah, because it's not pulling automatically, so there would be no way to do that.
Right. So if I refresh and it happens to be under 22 cents, which it's not, let's just make it under the price. So let's say 24, which it's currently under. This is the alert. It just highlights that row so you can easily see that when you pull the price, that it lit up gold or yellowish, and it's something you might want to look into. So the other option for dip alert is by the dip percentage. So you can go by percentage. Currently, it's 7.3. If it goes 10%, right? If it dips 10%, I want to know. So that's the dip alerts. Let's see. Before we get into scenarios and use cases that are more like how you would actually think while you're using this, I think that pretty much covers the tour of the features.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't think I've missed anything. So if I have, then you can discover it on your own. But when I clear out this YOLO input saying basically I'm not looking to spend anything right now, it kind of trims down, cleans up the interface because there's nothing new to estimate. Oh, also, these prices are all approximate because I do some rounding, some very minimal rounding. So that's why when you hover over current price, it shows you the full precision. Because if I spend $1,000, then this is probably not accurate. It's just an idea of where you're going to be at cost average wise. Plus, there are always fees when you exchange, so that will take out of your $1,000. So very, very much approximate prices throughout.
So what are you working on with the app now? Like what new ideas, new features?
Well, I have a few things kind of on the back burner. One of them is making this mobile friendly because it is not. That's a big priority, is to make this easy to use on a phone, because I often find myself away from my computer wishing I could maybe check into this or use it in some way. Another,
I think you're using Vuetify in Vue 2, so that should be, it has a lot of built-in, I guess, tools for making it mobile friendly.
Right. Another feature would be what you hinted at earlier, which is a transaction log. So instead of this accumulating value, you could have individual purchase amounts and be able to see over time how much you've spent, kind of itemized. And then I thought about putting some kind of a price chart built into this expanded area, but really you can just click over to CoinMarketCap and see that. So other than being able to see all of them kind of side by side at the same time, still you could go over to CoinMarketCap, create a watch list, and put them in there to see that as well. So I really didn't want to recreate things that were easy enough to do already. I did think about making a chart of, if I do a transaction log, of your transaction history, so you can kind of see where you've bought at different price points on a chart. That could be interesting. Because sometimes I think, like, wow, this has dipped a lot. Have I ever bought it lower than this before? And that's not easy to see.
Yeah.
That's one of the kind of catalysts for whether I decide to add a feature. I'm like, is this something I've thought about, and is it something that's not easy to get to? So those are a couple features that are kind of more priority than some other things I've thought about in the past.
So it's just you that's been using this app, right?
Yeah, and maybe a couple of close friends, but
Having them test it.
yeah.
It seems to work pretty well. I mean, other than the small the coin number of coins bug, I guess, if you want to call it a bug from filtering.
Oh, yeah, I think I did that on purpose because there are still, I guess I should have changed the terminology of showing if that was the case. So maybe I overlooked it. But anyway, yeah. You can see here now we can see the total stuff. So this is how much I've spent across all these coins, theoretically, and the total value based on the current price of all of them. So this is how much, if I were to cash out everything, this is how much it would be worth, again, approximately. And this is how much profit or loss. So here I would lose $70,000 if I just accepted things as they are here. So if we were to kind of flip that and say, I've only spent 2,000 on this Bitcoin. Well, now I'm doing well, up 55,000, 91% on my whole portfolio.
Oh, did you show the export feature?
No. So if I want to lock all this in and make sure that if I close the browser or delete local storage or switch browsers, that I still have this information, I can click Export CSV. You don't see it, it looks like, but it popped up a save dialog. And I can go ahead and save that so that if I did hit forget me, well, I could have just cleared the list. Let me get my API key again. Then I could go to import, which again, it looks like you don't see on the screen, but I have a file selection dialog right now. And I can click the CSV file, and it looks like it
lost a couple.
Kind of lost a couple, which actually has never happened to me. I've used this all the time, so I'm curious why that happened.
Did you import the wrong one? Because I don't think mine was even there.
Yep, I did. So thank you for that. If I import one into an existing list, it will add them to the list. It won't replace the list.
Oh, okay.
So let me clear the list over here. Yeah, I imported the wrong file.
So that's also a way you could have multiple lists, because you don't have an option for multiple lists right now, right?
I do, which I haven't shown yet. But here we go. I chose the one that I actually saved, and it imported with all of my input information. It didn't save the things that are calculated. So.
Oh, I see that list, coin list. That's a drop down, right?
Yeah. So I want to go through some use cases and scenarios that will implement this and show you how I use this every day, how I think when I'm using it, and that's really the last thing I have for the tour of this app here. So if we're ready to jump into that, I'll just show you. Yeah. All right. So let me let's just say this was my portfolio for now. And the biggest use case is I just want to monitor my portfolio. Like I have a bunch of investments and stuff out there, and I don't want to have to log into all my exchange accounts or wallets to see the big picture of my portfolio. So that's really the biggest factor, the biggest advantage of this, and the biggest purpose for this app is seeing potentially scattered investments in one place that doesn't require logging in. It doesn't require a bunch of hurdles to get to. And also, you know, if you have some tucked away on some cold storage in a hardware wallet or something, then that's another area that this helps. So that's the main use case, is I just want to monitor my portfolio as a whole. Another one is I want to monitor sections of my portfolio. So maybe I have various groupings that I consider to be different kind of sub portfolios on their own that I want to monitor separately, and that's where this list comes in. Now this input isn't super intuitive, but it is really easy to use once you figure out that if I go in here and I type a new name, so let's say I don't know, I have coins related to games that I want to monitor separately. So I can type in games and hit enter, and it actually creates a new list where I still have my dips, my default list that's automatically created that I can switch to, but I can switch between lists now. And let's just add a game here. Let's just put Axie in here, and oh, I don't know, it's another decentralized game. Let's I think there's like Star Atlas is another one I've heard of.
Yeah.
So let's just add these two. And so now I can pull these prices in. I could enter my information about how many I have. Let's say I have 2 of these and I got them for 200 in total. Let's say this one I have, I don't know, 3,000 and I paid $30. No, 300. Let's say I paid $450. So it's got a dip percentage. And so now I can switch back and forth here. I can pull in prices here. I should mention that every interaction on the page, like pulling prices, it only affects the current list that's being viewed. So by pulling prices for the dips list, I'm not actually pulling prices for the games list. And that was by design to kind of cut down on things. And because if I update prices for one list, it doesn't mean I want to change the prices that I see for another list.
Yeah. That
was the real drive for that, is I may not want all my lists to update because I'm still trying to work through some numbers and stuff. So here's kind of monitoring your portfolio as sections. So I can see my game coins versus my larger portfolio, or whatever it may be. Now, another way I use this coin list personally is to monitor coins that I'm not currently holding. And so that might
thinking about buying.
Yeah. So maybe I say like I just make a watch list. So now I've got my dips, that is my broad portfolio. I've got games, which is a smaller subset of my portfolio, and then I've got a watch list here that says maybe I'm kind of not convinced yet about that that crypto.com coin, or I really don't think I want to be getting into Shiba, but let me watch it just in case. Let's just scroll down here and start clicking some and just see where we get Dreamcoin. I don't know.
I
Okay.
feel like you should have some kind of number modifier to, I guess, calculate the mentions across the internet and the number of memes posted about a coin to track if it's going to go up or down or something.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Let me just click a bunch of these and we'll see what a larger list looks like. Scrolling through this list is just kind of fun sometimes to see what's out there.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 14 coins selected. So this is what it can start to look like when you get a bunch of these together. I can pull in the prices. Now, this is fine and all. It tells me the current price of these things I may be interested in, but it doesn't really give me a sense of how close the price is to what I'm willing to pay. And so, or what I think is a good value for this project. So the way I do this is I use a dip alert. So I would come in here and say, okay, so this is actually something I need to change apparently. If the price is really, really small, dip alert is rounding it to 0, so it's hard to see. Let me pick something like Lisk here. And let's say that it's at 322 and I've done some research and I'm not really willing to pay more than $3 for this coin. So I'm going to sit that there, and every time I come in here and refresh prices, if it's below that, then I'll know and I'll be like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to finally get in on this thing that I've been watching. Another way to kind of leverage these other tools of buy the dip and see this in a more vivid way is what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll pretend that I have one of them at the price that I'm willing to pay. And now it tells me how far away from that it is. It's
Oh, cool.
7.5% just about from my target price. And it looks like I'm holding it for that amount, but I fill it in as a placeholder for now. And so I would do that with a bunch of coins I'm watching. And then as I go through and let's pick one of these really tiny ones here. Let's say that how many zeros is that? 5.
Yeah.
Let's say I'll spend whatever 434 on this one. Well, it's almost there, right? So if I refresh this one enough during this stream here, it might actually hit that with these really low prices that change a lot. But anyway, that's how I would use it until it finally, let's say, looks like I need to change this too. These really small numbers aren't playing well. I don't usually dabble in coins that are like these super micro amounts, so I haven't tested that out a lot. But let's say it is below, then I can see now, let's make it a little more significant. So wow, this is 56% dipped from where I said I would like to purchase it. Let me go ahead and get in on that. So that's how I would use this to watch coins that I'm potentially interested in.
Nice. This is a really nice application.
Yeah, it's served me really well over probably, I mean, you can see in GitHub how long I've potentially been using it based on the commit history. So at least 5 or 6 months I've been just using this on my own to make sure it's effective for my purposes and potentially for others to use. I've got to think that there's more people that have the same use cases and mentality as I do that would make good use of this app. So some questions I ask myself along the way when I'm using this are, how well are my investments doing? So if I'm back here on the dips list, I get a good sense of that looking at this with the cumulative total stuff and just seeing these really succinct values and vivid ways of picturing my portfolio. You can also order these things by, I want to see the most dipped ones first, and I want to see the ones. Looks like I need to fix that as well. But I want to see the cheapest ones first, or I want to see my lowest or highest cost average first.
In consulting, I guess many times I've heard clients that basically they have this mess of spreadsheets and different things referencing. It's just a complete jumbled mess. As it grows, spreadsheets aren't the best at scaling in some ways. So then they come to wherever I'm working or consulting for, and they want some kind of app to do what their spreadsheet does. And usually you have to plan very meticulously to get the app right, because there are so many things and there's so much inside knowledge and all of that stuff. But this is actually a really good, and I've seen really good implementations in the resulting app and kind of poor implementation. So this is actually a really good, and it seems to be, a good, well-planned and even nice looking implementation of a appified spreadsheet. So really good job on this, Daniel.
Yeah, it comes from necessity, right? So that's all this is based on. Is I was doing something in a really inconvenient way with spreadsheets, and I wanted to make it easier to do. And along the way, I discovered all these use cases that I need it for. And
there's no refresh button on spreadsheets.
Yes, that was the number one inconvenience on the spreadsheet. Was I had to go look up all the individual prices, input them to have it update all my calculated fields.
Yeah. This is awesome, Daniel.
But yeah, it's that. Just a quick recap. The 5 basic scenarios and questions I ask myself while I'm using this are: how well is my portfolio doing? This allows me to see that. I sometimes come in here and say, I'm ready to buy some dip. Where can I most effectively do that?
Then you can start researching based off of this information.
Yeah. And the third one would be, I'm curious about some coins that I'm not currently holding. And so this allows me to do that, as we saw with the watch list. Fourth is, I want to know how a certain portion of my portfolio is doing. So these lists allow for breaking things up into those sort of views. And finally, with this YOLO field, how would spending X amount affect my portfolio? So if I were to spend $1,000 right now, how would that impact things? And where can I most effectively spend that? So it allows me to make a lot of good decisions and get some insight into why I might make those decisions.
Awesome.
But as a complete summary to this app can definitely come across as a speculative tool that is just kind of used for silliness. It can definitely be used that way to some extent. But the thing is, for me, I'm long term on pretty much everything I'm holding. So I look for dips for, using this app as a way to get more favorable prices for what I already believe in. And so that's kind of my approach to this. Is I do want to be able to effectively capitalize on the emotional swings of the market, but only in as much as I can benefit projects or my investments in projects that I truly believe in. So that's just my mentality and approach to this. But I want to send it out into the world so people can use it as they wish.
Awesome. And yeah, the app, I posted it in the chat. I'll also post it in the description. If you want to go to CryptoDip.app, you can see this app live and go ahead and use it. And also on the GitHub, by the way, I raised a couple issues during the stream on the GitHub you can take a look at. But yeah, this is all open source, so feel free to make any feature requests, comments, or if you find bugs, please report them. So yeah, this was awesome, Daniel. Do you have any closing words?
No, I think I just said them with, I just want to send this off into the world now. It's everyone's now.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Daniel. This was really great and interesting, and I've been waiting to see this app. We tried to do the stream about a month ago, I think, and it didn't work out. And now I have new streaming software that allows a guest to share their screen, which is really exciting. So, yeah, have a great day, everyone. Feel free to leave a comment or join my Discord if you want to continue the discussion about blockchain. All of those links I will put in the description below. So, have a great day. Bye.
Thanks.